Hey, everybody. So it is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are on it and ready to start tonight's episode of the Rantings of Danny. I'm going to make sure that we are all joined in here together and ready to rock and roll. I'm quite sure some of you will have something to say about tonight's topic and the title of this live, and that's more than okay. The only thing that I'm going to ask is that you be respectful in your commentary and in your exchanges with each other. I will do the same to you. Don't come for me, I won't come for you, right? It's going to be that simple. So we're going to kind of have some discussions. We're going to take a look at the new Texas. What's up, Jamie? Glad you are here. We're going to take a look at this new abortion bill that's been passed in the state of Texas. And hey, Addie, how are you? And then we're going to talk about why it's my opinion that your religion doesn't matter with regard to this. Hey, Christy. And we're going to dive a little deep, and I'm going to address some of the things that people normally say. I'm going to address some of the things that local politicians back home have said in Northeast Tennessee regarding the United States as a whole, and then we're going to really kind of get into this sucker. So hopefully, let me go ahead and get on here so that I can make sure I can see all comments. I've already got people really upset with me over this conversation, but that is okay. I'm more than okay with that. So let me make sure I'm good. Okay. So you all know that the state of Texas just passed a pretty restrictive, very severe law regarding abortion in the state of Texas, effective yesterday. If a fetal heartbeat can be detected, yeah, Teresa, you see me quite a bit today. I know. It's a wonder that I've still gotten anything else done, but I have. I've been in pretty high producer mode. Hey, Susan, how are you? What was I saying? Okay, so they passed this bill, and it's been signed into law as of yesterday regarding the ability of women to obtain an abortion um, if a if a fetal heartbeat can be detected, which this can be present as early as 6 weeks. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things. Let me just preface this by saying what this conversation is not about is whether or not fetuses, embryos are babies, whether it's a quote unquote human life or not. I am going to share some medical and some scientific information that kind of gives you some background because these words get thrown around a lot and people think that they know what they mean. And oftentimes they don't. And what I'm not going to do is share with you things from mainstream media. I'm going to share with you some things from experts and doctors and what they have to say. Y'all know I'm a big believer in the science and the doctors and listening to the experts. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to talk about the Texas legislature. We're going to talk about its makeup. We're going to talk about who predominantly passes these daggone bills that try to regulate and govern women's bodies. And then I'm also going to talk about bodily autonomy. Somebody commented just a few minutes ago and said, well, I just want to, prompt some further thinking about this. Like, where does bodily autonomy stop? At what point do we say we're going to regulate this and not regulate that, and we're going to, control this and control that? And my assumption, and I will admit that this is an assumption on my part, my assumption is that this individual was referring to mask mandates and vaccinations, right? And let me just go ahead and address that one right now, right off the bat, so that you all know. No, it was a woman, actually, Jessica, who said this. It was a woman. And here's gonna be my thing, right? You can't catch an abortion. You can't catch a pregnancy, right? So if I'm pregnant or if I get an abortion, you can't catch it. It doesn't kill you. It doesn't make you sick. It doesn't bother you. It has no impact on your daily life pretty much whatsoever, right? So that would be different. That would be different than an infectious disease that is part of a global pandemic. So to me, it doesn't require a whole lot of deep thinking to understand that one is the public health crisis and the other one is none of your business. I mean, it's just that simple, right? It's just that simple. Um, and people are going to say, well, I believe that it's a human life and murder is against the law. Well, listen, why do you believe that it's a human life? Because science doesn't tell you that. Medicine doesn't tell you that. And if it's your religion that tells you that, your religion doesn't matter. So can we just start there? I know some of y'all. So let me just tell y'all this. I have been called all kinds of things before because I am pro-choice. Being pro-choice does not equate to being pro-abortion. I think some people think that there's like 3 steps, right? You can be pro-choice, you can be pro-abortion, or you can be pro-not abortion. Those are the 3 choices, right? It's not either or. It's like one, I'm like, yay, you're gonna have a baby. That's what should happen. The other side is like, yay, you get an abortion. And then the other one is, yay, whatever you choose is between you and your significant other or yourself and no one else and you and your God. And it's between you and whoever you determine that it's between, because it is your body and none of my damn business. Call me crazy, folks. But I mean, I've been called a baby killer. I've been called names because I quote unquote support Muslims. Absolutely, I support freedom of religion. I don't know why that's a strange thing for people to get, but of course I do. But first and foremost, I want to talk about the makeup of the Texas legislature. Can we talk about who is passing these laws trying to regulate women's bodies? Can we talk about that? Because it's very rarely someone with a vagina. It's really not us. So I want you to get this. Do you know that the average person doesn't know that they're pregnant until after 5.5 weeks? That's the average, right? So that means you might have 3 days from the time that you know you're pregnant till the time that you can't get an abortion. Let me just tell you this. If you're going to get an abortion, they actually require you to think about it for 2 days, for 48 hours. Like you just can't go get one. Like I see people slam Planned Parenthood all the time. But so like if you're going to go get an abortion in a lot of places, you have to go through like a counseling session. They have to talk to you about that choice and that decision that you're going to make, especially if you're of a certain age. Sometimes they require you to, you can't go and get it the same day. You have to actually wait 24, 48 hours before you can get it. I don't know if people are aware of that or not. It's not like McDonald's. It's not a drive-through abortion. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what people think, but that's not kind of how it works in most circumstances. So let me keep going. So I y'all know me. I went and pulled some statistics and some information from you. Right. The rates of abortion actually decrease in areas with a Planned Parenthood. And one of the reasons for that is because in areas that have a Planned Parenthood, they have access to more sex education, more preventative education, more, options, more counseling around adoption, and other choices that are out there for people. So it's funny that people make all of these crazy. And here's what's so funny is I'm doing this live, and there are people that will 100% be talking shit about me who will not come on this live because they don't want to get the actual facts. They don't want to get the actual information that would challenge their thinking. And you saw that earlier today more clear than ever, that people simply don't want to have to face, the truths and ask themselves, why do they think and believe what they think and believe, even with facts in front of them. I literally had a lady tell me today that she would rather listen to what people who were there say about what happened at the dignified transfer for the military services, and rather than go watch the 40-minute live stream video for herself. She would rather trust someone else's word than to watch it for herself. Crazy to me. So anyway, right. And Barbara, they've gotten better. Well, it depends upon where you go, right? What type of facility you go to. as to whether or not, they try to quote unquote talk you out of it or not. But I can tell you that it is not, it's not a simple process. And it's not simple anyway. I don't know why people think that it's just something that the majority of people just go do at the random drop of a dime. You know what I mean? It's not what happens. But let's talk about this. So the Texas Heartbeat Act, also known as SB 8, right, bans abortion in the state if a fetal heartbeat is detected. What we refer to as a fetal heartbeat. Okay. Now the Texas legislature in 2021 has an interesting demographic. 61% of the lawmakers in the state house and the Senate are white, even though white people only make up 41% of Texas's population. So they make up 61% of the House and the Senate, but white people in the state of Texas only make up 41% of the population. Y'all less than half, right? That's number one. Number two, because they're the majority Republican, that's kind of how this stuff happens. So get this, you guys. This year in the Texas legislative, in the Texas legislative branch, I don't know why I can talk for a second. There are 27 women. Okay. Well, I'm not 27 women today. Hold on. I lied. 48, but before I get there. So listen, since Texas became a state, which is in 1845, okay, 5,444 men have been elected to serve in the Texas legislature. 5,444 since 1845. Would you like to know how many women? 179. That information is coming to you from the Legislative Reference Library of Texas. So that's not a Danny Cook statistic. That is from the Legislative Reference Library of Texas. So 179 women in all of Texas's history compared to 5,444 men. Today, in the 2021 legislative chambers, 132 are men, 132 are men, and 48 are women. Now, here's what's interesting about these numbers. Of those 132 men, there are 87 Republicans and 45 Democrats, right? Of the 48 women, there are 13 Republicans and 35 Democrats. Is it any wonder why white men in the state of Texas are attempting to control laws around women and women in the legislature? So we see the same thing in the Tennessee legislature. Very, very similar in terms of its makeup, right? White men. And we have literally seen and witnessed like the way that they treat Gloria Johnson from Knox County in Knoxville, Tennessee. They will overlook her. They won't call on her. They will just they punished her by putting her in the smallest office, even though there's a bigger office across the hall from her that is empty, right? But how dare she be a woman and question these big bad men and put them on the spot and hold them accountable for the things that they say and they do. So therefore, she cannot have the bigger office across the hall, right? Crazy. So I'm going to keep going for a second and see, and I do this because I wonder, I don't think that I can. Let's just see. Can I? Oh, I can. Ooh, okay. I'll do that next time. Okay. I was going to change one of my streams in midstream to a fourth platform, but I'm not. Okay. So I want to go, first of all, I want to talk about the number of people in this country that are not Christian. Because a lot of people will say that the reason for, hold on, it's my child. Let me make sure she's good. Hold on. Hey, I'm in the middle of a broadcast. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call you back. All right. So one of the things that y'all know, my babies come first. I would say, but so one of the things I've heard people talk about is that this country, we're a Christian nation. How many of you guys hear people refer to America as a Christian nation? I do all the time. The truth is, we're not. We are not a Christian nation, nor were we ever founded and created to be one. Jamie probably knows a lot of this that I'm getting ready to tell you, right? But listen, here's the thing, Jessica, I'm probably going to surprise you. You wouldn't believe how many people claim not to be Christian. So get this. Currently, 29.4% of the population is not Christian. That's almost a third. To give you an idea of what that number really represents, it's 97,446,088 people. Just shy of 100 million people in this country are not Christians. They do not claim to be Christians. That is not their religion of choice. Did y'all know that? Like, the total population in this country is 331,449,281. So let's put this in perspective for just a second, okay? So if all of the United States of America is 331,449,281 people, and according to, y'all know me, I'm going to give y'all some links in here. According to the Pew Research Center, right, the number of people that identify as Christian is 70.6%, which means 29.4% don't identify as Christian. 22.8% are like unaffiliated. They are religious nuns. 3% are atheists, 4% are agnostics, 15.8% are nothing in particular, almost 2% are Jewish, right at 1% are Muslim, 0.7% are Buddhist, 0.7% are Hindu. So like we need to get off of this thing that we think that all of the country are Christians, because they're not. It's almost 100 million people that are not Christians in this country. So when our politicians play on that, first of all, your religion should have nothing to do with your ability to serve in office. And if you are using your religion in your political office, I question your ability to serve equally, adequately, equitably the other 100 million people that live in this country. Right, Jamie. So when you go outside of the region, when she says the region, Jamie lives where I'm from, right? So Northeast Tennessee tends to be a very, very red, very conservative, predominantly Christian community, at least in claim. We're not going to talk about how people act and live, but we're going to talk about what people claim, right? I will say that a lot of them do go to church on Sunday. But I don't really think that that's what Christianity means, right? But when you move outside of the region and you get to meet other people, like joining the military was one of the best things I ever did, because at the age of 18, I got to really expand my horizons and begin to understand that there were so many other different types of people with different belief systems, with different ideas. I remember being in Vance Middle School. That's what we call Vance Junior High is what we called it when I went, right? And I remember being in class and we were having this debate. They showed us this video. So this will tell you, they showed us a video that was called like the silent scream around abortion and whatever. And there was this big conversation and debate about it. And I remember arguing that the only case where abortion was okay, and literally was rape and incest. Like, that's literally what I remember staunchly arguing those points, even into my adult years, because that was the region that I was brought up in. That was the way that I was raised. That's what I was taught in church. And so that's what I believed, right? And what's interesting is that when you go outside and you begin to have different conversations with different people, and you understand that not everyone in the world thinks and lives and experiences life the way you do, right? They have a different perspective. They have different religions. They have different filters through which they experience life. Then you understand that you don't get to dictate their freedoms based on your belief system. What makes your belief system better than theirs? And if your belief system really says that you are better than someone else, I question your belief system. So Christy is asking, what does being a Christian mean? Because I have a hard time identifying as Christian, but I do believe in a higher power. So according to the Bible, it's Romans 10:9. It says that you believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord, that you believe that he is the Son of God. He was sent to earth to save you from your sins. And that belief is the only means through which you get to go to heaven. Like, that's the Bible version of Christianity. That's what it's supposed to mean. And then if you believe that, then you're supposed to believe all the things that Jesus said we're supposed to do, like love thy neighbor as thyself, which to me doesn't quite correlate to fuck you, I'm not wearing a mask. I just don't think those two things go together. But so let's keep going. So the first thing to note that's really, really important is to note that in the population that we currently have right now, 29.4% of the United States is not Christian. Okay. So I'm going to put that up there for you. So when I chose to do this broadcast and I chose to say, your religion doesn't matter, it's because that equals 29.4% of the population equals, and I have it down here for you guys, but sometimes it's helpful if you can see it and not just hear it. So I'm here for you visual learners as well. And so that equates to 29.4% of the population equals 97,446,088 people. And that is why your religion does not matter when it comes to the freedoms and rights of other people. You do not get to dictate and create laws based upon your faith and ignore the faith of 100 million other people. Who do you think you are? What ego must you have? What need must be in you to have this moral high ground, to look down upon other people, to believe that that should be so? These are questions that I legitimately have, right? I do not understand this thought process. So let me keep going. You will hear people oftentimes say, for example, if you go to YouTube and you watch a video at Higher Ground Baptist Church, where State Representative Bud Halsey spoke during a Freedom Matters tour in July. I believe it was in July or early August. I believe it was in July, though. You will see Bud Halsey make the claim that the founding fathers stated that this was a Christian nation. That's what he states as a fact. He says that America is a Christian nation and the founding fathers say so. Bud, I'm not sure where you went to school. I'm not sure what history you're reading, but I would encourage you to expand your horizons because you're incorrect. And it doesn't take much to find out that you're wrong. It just takes a willingness to look and accept that you're wrong, right? So let's talk a couple of things. Jamie, you don't want to do that to people. Jamie said, because Christians murder, rape, and enslave. And listen, guys, that's actually a fact. Like, that's actually a fact. Christianity has been one of the most widely used religions to commit atrocities around the world, to enslave people, to rape people, to murder people. Like, that's a fact. That's a historical fact. But I want to talk a little bit about the founding fathers and what they actually say about this great country of ours. In a letter dated April 11th, 1823, from Thomas Jefferson to John Adams, he said, "The day will come when the mystical generation of Jesus by the Supreme Being in the womb of a virgin will be classed with the fable of the generation of Minerva in the brain of Jupiter. but we may hope that the dawn of reason and freedom of thought in these United States will do away with all this artificial scaffolding. That is not a man. Those are not the words of a man who is trying to establish a Christian nation. It's not. Somebody tell Bud to come watch. Because I might educate him today. But I also want to look at the Constitution. Did you know that nowhere in the United States Constitution do we hear the word God? There is no reference to God or the Almighty or to Christianity in the Constitution. None. Yes. Yep. I'm getting there. Ethan. I'm getting there. The only reference to religion at all in the Constitution is found in Article 6, and it's actually a negative one. And it says, no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. So in other words, we will never have a religious requirement for you to serve in any public office or public trust under the United States. That's in the Constitution, folks. If the founding fathers wanted this to be a Christian nation, they would have written it into the governing documents. You do get that, correct? Like while we're setting up how the government is going to be run, while we're setting up the rights of everyone in this country, I think sometimes you guys forget that the founding fathers were running from religious persecution, right? But let's keep going. In the Articles of Confederation, this is for my deep South folks right here. These are for my deep South, Confederate flag flying. That's my heritage folk. Let's talk about the Articles of the Confederation from 1777. In all 13 articles of the Articles of the Confederation, the only reference to anything that vaguely, remotely resembles God or a term relating to God was the use of the term great governor of the world. And it was used in the context of like a general introduction, you know, great governor of the world, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of like, that's how it was used. And think about this. The Articles of the Confederation did indeed it was trying to create a government, right? A confederation that was independent from from the rest of the states, right? And yet the authors of the Articles of the Confederation gave no power or authority to religion, none whatsoever. Right, Ethan. And so this is such a great point. People keep saying, I won't call them idiots, but people keep saying that Keith Ellison and Ilhan Omar could not swear in on a Quran. Yes, you can. That is their faith. What is wrong with you? Again, I would ask, what is it about you and your religion that makes you believe that you are superior to other people and that other people do not have the right to their own religion? I'm going to keep going. Yes, Teresa. And while we're discussing the merits of your Christian testimony, Buttholesy, where in the Christian faith are we told to refer to our brothers and sisters as quote unquote throwaway people? You will never live that down, bud. And as long as I have breath, I will make sure you never live it down. Because I do believe that, you know, out of your heart, the mouth speaks. And the idea that you would even refer to people as throwaway people because they have mental health issues or because they're homeless or because they're drug addicted or because they're poor and they're in the emergency room and they don't have regular physicians. Dude, the fact that you called them throwaway people says so much about your heart and your character on a real note. It really does. And I would think more of you if you ever even addressed it. If you ever even addressed it and said, you know what? Hey, I said that and I suck for saying that. That was not the right thing to say. But you choose instead to ignore it. And you can, because the people back home, they just ignore the fact that you said it. They ignore the fact that you said it, that it speaks volumes about who you are, and you get reelected, which is just shameful. But this is why I say very simply, this is not a question about whether or not you believe abortion is right or wrong. That's your personal choice. And if you believe that it is wrong, then don't have one. If you believe that it is wrong and you still have one, that's your business. I will not shame you for it. If you believe that it's not wrong and you have one, again, that is your business. We have to start taking a look. When I look at the things that are going on in this country, and I look at the people that are anti-mask, anti-vaccine, when I look at the people who are the most angry over immigration, when I look at the people who are the most racist, when I look at, y'all are not going to like to hear me say that, but I'm just telling y'all, there's a reason you had a damn slave Bible. When I look at all of those different people, they have a couple of things in common. The majority of them, the overwhelming majority of them are white, and the overwhelming majority of them profess to be Christians. And I want to be clear, there's nothing wrong with Christianity, right? At all. It's the people that are using it to manipulate and to push agendas. I'm not downing Christianity at all. What I am doing is saying that there's a large group of people out there who profess to be Christians very publicly that are doing very un-Christian things. It's like I told y'all the other day, I really do wish I was a fly on the wall in heaven. I don't know if heaven has flies, but I would think all creatures are welcome. But like if heaven had flies on the walls, I would want to be one, because I'm pretty sure like on a regular basis, Jesus would be like, God, can I just get my name back? Can I get my name? Because they are tearing my last name up, right? My name is Jesus Christ, and they're supposed to be Christians, and they are jacking my name up. They are dragging it through the mud. Like, can I have the same rights as people who get a divorce? Can I just plead to the court to take my name back? That's really what I think. Because you cannot convince me that Jesus would be down here saying, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not going to do what I can to protect children. I'm not going to get a vaccine that could potentially save, hundreds of thousands of lives. I don't believe that Jesus would be looking at our borders and saying, nope, send them all home, or snatch the children out of their arms and use their children as leverage to make them not come here. I just don't think that's a Jesus thing. Call me crazy, but I just don't think that's how he works. I just don't. Now, if I could address the science of it, the science of a 6-week embryo, and the reason why I say embryo is because at 6 weeks, according to the Cleveland Clinic, it is not considered a fetus. It is considered an embryo due to the lack of development. Okay. And this article, let me give it to you, is from Live Science. And this article explains what you're hearing at 6 weeks. Okay. Because it's not a heartbeat. So when we hear a heartbeat, when we think heartbeat, we think this heart-shaped organ in your chest, like thump, 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 like that you can hear with a stethoscope. It is not that. Let me explain. So Dr. Sama, I think that's her name, Sama Aftab. She's the medical director of the Fetal Care Center at Nicholas Children's Hospital in Miami, says that what you are detecting is a little flutter in the area that will become the future heart of the baby, assuming that it continues to grow and do well, which they don't always. Okay. And give me a link, Ethan. And now check this out. The flutter that you hear happens because the group of cells that will become, did y'all hear will become the future pacemaker of the heart? Those group of cells are able to fire electrical signals. So what you're hearing are electrical. Oh, hold on. See, I don't have my Twitch up, and I'm supposed to because I'm on there too. Sweet, bless my heart, baby Jesus. It's gonna be all right, y'all. um, Twitch people, sorry, I forgot to open you up. So let me get going. I'll get on there in just a second, okay? Yeah, Mary, you don't even want to go there because they're not gonna like that either, right? Most Christians wouldn't recognize Jesus because he was brown, not like the white picture we all are familiar with. Correct. But then people get mad when you start to say, well, you know, Christianity has been used as a tool in white supremacy, when in fact it has. If not, why the perpetual, promotion of whiteness as the right thing, right? Why is Jesus white? And I'm just asking, right? So it says, I went on Twitch, it said, you are live. Yeah, I know. So, okay, so that's pulled up as well. All right. So I want to go back to, I covered all of that. Oh, let me finish this. Okay, so what you are hearing when the embryo is 6 weeks is not a fetal heartbeat. It is the electrical signals that are able to be sent by a group of cells. And here's what's crazy, guys, right? Up until it's only been the last few decades where you can even hear that. So listen, because of the advancement in technology, we're able to detect those electrical signals earlier than before. But that is not the way that it used to be, right? Without the ultrasound, you couldn't hear it. If a doctor put a stethoscope to a woman's abdomen, they would not be able to hear a heartbeat. It is only through scientific equipment, medical equipment, that those electrical signals are able to be heard. Okay. So I need you guys to understand that what this expert is saying to you is that the beat that you hear isn't audible, right? And what's more, like, it does not in any way, shape, or form speak to the viability of the embryo at all. It's just not the case. I can tell you from having experienced Bella's time in the NICU, I can tell you that her being at 26 weeks, she was considered viable. One of my best friends on the planet, her twins almost came at 21 weeks. And they had a chat with her because they wanted her to sign this piece of paper that said if she continued, she was having severe problems, and if she continued to bleed and so forth and so on. And they had to choose between saving her and saving the fetuses. That she wanted them to save the fetuses. That she wanted that they were to save her, and she refused to sign it. And her husband called me, and I had to go up there to be with her. And this was the conversation that I shared with her. Outside of her womb at 20 weeks, they had a less than 1% chance of making it. Like, it was actually 0%, right? At 20 weeks. And so what I told her was the best way to save the babies was to save her, right? Because if she lived and they were still in her womb, then that gave them some chance, right? That gave them some chance. And she said, okay, well, that makes sense. Now I can sign it. But we have this thing that's ingrained in us, that, and y'all tell me if I am off base. Tell me if I'm not getting it right. But do you not see the push coming for abortion laws coming from white Republican men, mostly, who claim Christianity as their religion? Is that not the case? I don't see Buddhists pushing it. I don't see Muslims, like, I don't see these people feeling the need to try to change laws in order to manage people. And here's the thing, folks, right? You cannot legislate what you believe to be morality. First of all, morality is subjective. Okay. I know we all would like to think that it is not, but it is. And oftentimes it's this line that we've created that makes us feel better about ourselves. Right. And my thing is, if you are feeling the need to create laws meant to shame other people for their choices, it is because you have a need to feel better about yourself. And that makes you a bully. If you have to target other people, if you have to use your positions of power and authority to make life harder for other people, to dictate what other people can and can't do with their bodies, that makes you a bully. Just saying. And then you wonder why people are leaving Christianity super, super quickly, like in droves. If you look at the numbers, Christianity has been dying off for the last few decades. It has been dying off. And um, I truly believe that it's because people see the hypocrisy in it and people don't like the judgment in it or the fear in it. Um, and that matters. So, like, to me, if you are living your life in such a way that you come from a place of love and kindness, then you're practicing your faith the right way. But if your religion makes you shame, demean, put down, penalize, rape, slave, murder other people, I question that religion and that interpretation of that religion. Like, I really do. Um, so okay, so I'm trying to read. I'm reading what Ethan just sent me really quick. So in Martin Luther wrote of the Black Death, quote, I shall ask God to mercifully protect us, and I shall not avoid person or place, but will go freely. Is that what you're talking about? Ethan, let me get back to the screen where you guys are. Right. Catholic, Christian, white men. Exactly. And so let me just, okay, now I'm really going to make people upset again, but I'm just going to say it. Okay. So when Bella was born, I remember when her doctor came out of the OR, the NICU surgeon. And when he came out of the OR, he said, I need to speak to the maternal grandmother. And I was like, that's me. And he said, so am I to understand that this girl, this baby girl, is both Black and Hispanic? And I said, yes, she is. Her father is Hispanic, and her mother, my daughter, is African American. And he said, oh, she's going to be just fine. And I was like, that seems like a weird statement for him to make, right? Well, let me tell you why he made that statement. I went on to learn because Bella spent 91 days in the NICU. So I ended up learning a lot. So I learned that in the NICU, they call white male babies, they call it wimpy white boy syndrome because they have the hardest time. The white male babies have a higher ratio of not doing well than others do. So it kind of goes like this. Minority girls do the best. And then I believe it's minority boys, second best. Then it's white girl babies, and then white boy babies. And if you think about it from this perspective, oh, I missed it, Ethan. Sorry. I was trying to read it on the broadcast. I'll read it afterwards and do a post about it. Okay, so check this out. So you're going to be like, well, Danny, I don't get why that is. Well, okay, here's what we know. We know that we carry going back at least 10 generations in our DNA. Right? Did you all know that? We carry at least 10, like the DNA of 10 generations of trauma and experiences in our DNA. So if that's the case, I think Titan's going to try to join the broadcast. If that is the case, right? When you think about it historically, the people who have had to struggle the most, right? the people who have had to struggle the most are minority women. Next greatest is minority men. Next are white women. And next would be white men. White men have had the easiest road in comparison to everyone else, historically speaking. He joined the broadcast. And so what does that mean? That means that over time, there is you don't have the need to fight so hard. You don't have the need to to be as strong, right? Titan, Melinda. um, and people might not like to hear that. I really do believe, and this is just me sharing, I really do believe that that's part of the reason we see what we see happening, because those white males are attempting with everything in them, in the positions of power that they have, to continue to hold the systems in place that give them the edge. Because without that edge, what would they do? What will they become? And let me just say this, for those of you all who say that women having an abortion somehow impacts you, not any more than someone else drinking and having, cirrhosis of the liver, not any more than someone who develops type 2 diabetes, not any more so than, people with cardiac issues, right? As a matter of fact, the greater impact on you is if people have children that they cannot, for whatever reason, take care of, right? Look at our foster care systems. Look at our adoption systems. Like that's another area that just really makes me angry, because there are people who want and desire children, but we in this country make it so difficult for people to take them. Just like the Supreme Court did earlier this year, saying that adoption agencies that are Christian and have a religious ideology that goes against, being LGBTQ, they have the right to deny, gay parents from adopting children. The Supreme Court made that decision in January of this year. And my thing is, if you don't want loving gay families to adopt children, tell straight people to stop having them. Just saying, right? This idea, like, what makes Christian people not want to serve you because of who you love and how you love or how you identify? And tell me how that represents Jesus Christ. I don't remember Jesus being like, hey, Mary, the word on the street is you're a hoe, so I can't hang with you. I just, Jesus wasn't like that. He wasn't like, listen, Mary Magdalene, the word on the street, girl, is you get around. And so I can't hang with you. It doesn't. This idea. So I would challenge people, if that is your faith, if that's what you profess it to be, first of all, understand that this country was not built on it. This country was not built upon Christianity. It wasn't. The founding fathers say so. The Constitution proves it. Like every piece of documentation that we have, the Federalist Papers, the Articles of the Confederation, right? The science says that what you're hearing is not even a heartbeat. They're electrical signals being passed by a group of cells. And by the way, you would not be able to hear them if not for the advancement in technology. Not at that early of the stage in development, right? The fact that there are 132 men in the Texas legislature and 61% of them are white males, when white people make up 41% of the population in the state of Texas, also shows you why there's a problem. This is not an argument or a debate about whether abortion is right or wrong. You are entirely entitled to your opinion. And if you believe it's wrong, don't get one. And You have no right to determine what anybody else does. Correct. So there's this thing where people call it pro-life. It's not pro-life. From what I've seen, people who are really heavy into politics, who profess to be pro-life, from what I have witnessed, they are not pro-life, they are pro-birth. And they are pro-birth for political reasons because it gets them votes and supporters. And they are not interested in the health and well-being of our children, because if we were, our children would be wearing masks in school. Our children would have, desk shields. Our children would have better education systems and better funding. Our children would have, like in the world of cancer, the pediatric cancer is the least funded in terms of research of all the cancers. If we were really pro-life and not pro-birth, right, then, our children, we wouldn't have, like, we just had a state the other day that opted out of the federal free lunch program because they said children could become spoiled by having free lunch. Hold on, let me see where that was. Yeah. So this is a true story. Let me give you all the links so that people aren't like, Danny, you're full of crap. This is from Business Insider. And the school district of Waukesha, Wisconsin, voted in June to opt out of President Joe Biden's free lunch program, with one member arguing that children and families could become, quote unquote, spoiled with free meals. Now, they ended up taking it back. Yeah. They ended up taking it back 2 months later because they experienced so much criticism. But we are letting politics, we are letting, I don't even know to call it politics, right? But it is absolutely asinine and crazy to me to deny children meals. How are they supposed to learn if they're hungry? Many children who go to school is their only meal. It's one of the reasons why the American Academy of Pediatrics and pediatricians across the country are so like, yes, we need in-school learning, because a lot of times that's where our children eat. Food is a necessity. Spoiled with free meals. Yep, I put the link up there for you guys so that you can see that. We have a problem in the United States of America with the infiltration into extreme religion, because y'all do know that Muslims aren't the only people. It's not, the Muslim faith is not the only one that has extremists. You do realize that we have Christian extremists, right? Do y'all know that? Yeah, there's such a thing as Christian extremists. And fanaticism is 99% fear-based, and that's what's being used by, you're correct. So everything that is happening right now is fear-based, everything. And that is how they convince you that people shouldn't come here, that there's not going to be enough, that those outsiders who are taking your supplies and your jobs. And it's not true. It's not true. Your employers are the people responsible for that. I am for capitalism, but not at the expense of people, not at the expense of humanity, not at the expense of basic human life. I believe that if we all had the necessities, we would flourish economically, because people would not have to be spending their time and their effort trying to figure out how to survive, right? If all of your basic survival needs were met, imagine what you could accomplish. You would be able to tap into people's creativity and people's innovation and change, and like all of these amazing things could happen that do not get to happen when people are stuck in survival mode. Those are the facts. So, yeah, Texas, South Carolina, all you folks that think that you're coming for women's rights, I really want y'all to understand, These are the same people that are going after the voting rights of minorities, trying to take us back to Jim Crow days. And you all do have one thing in common: your professed religion, your professed faith. I can tell you that the people will not stand for it. There are more people against the things that you are doing than are for them. And that gives me hope. That really does give me hope. Like I said, this is not bashing Christianity, because if you actually follow Jesus and his teachings, you'd be cool. But you don't. A great majority of you don't. And you use it to feel better about yourselves and shame other people. And that is not very Christ-like of you. I'm going to say one more thing. I've said this before, so some of you have heard it. I have been demonized for it, and I'm still going to say it again. Because many who profess to be Christian will say to me that they believe that God is omnipresent, which means he's everywhere present, that he's omnipotent, which means he's all powerful, and that he's omniscient. He's all knowing. These same people will tell me that God knows what you're going to do before you do it. He knows your beginning from your end and all of that. And these people will also tell me that they believe that God is the giver of life, that's the source of life. So if those three things are present, if you believe God to be all-knowing, if you believe God to be the giver of life, right? And if you believe that God knows what you're going to do before you do it, that would mean that at the time God allows a woman to become pregnant, right? That he would know in advance that that woman was going to choose to get an abortion using the free will that he gave her. And if God thought that was the greatest sin on earth and just should not happen, why did God allow her to get pregnant to start with? If God believes that that's a human life. I would love for a Christian to answer that question for me, because I've said this several times, and not a single one of you has been able to answer that for me. But if you believe that, then tell me why. And if you can't do that, at least tell me why you think you know better than God. Because if God thought that getting pregnant and having free will to do whatever this woman chose to do was what was best for her, it was in her highest good, who are you to think you know better than God? I'm just asking, folks. All right. That is it. That is all I have for you guys for tonight. I will be back Monday at 8 p.m. Maybe before then. Y'all know how I do. You can follow me on the Rantings of Danny on Facebook, on Twitch as well. You can follow me on Twitter under the Danny Cook. You can also follow me on YouTube at Danny Cook. You can follow me on Facebook under just regular Danny Cook, right? There's a lot of places you can follow, right? So do that. Subscribe. Oh, and there's an audio podcast that I also do. That audio podcast is weekly with a new episode. I was 1 week behind, so it was bi-weekly for a minute, but it's weekly. And you can listen on Apple, on iTunes, on Google Play, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, you name it, you can listen. And it, of course, is called The Rantings of Danny. So thanks, Barbara. I appreciate that. Like, that's really me thinking. Like, I had to put some thought into it, and that's what I came up with. I just don't get it. I personally have never had an abortion. I know what it's like to lose a child, though. I know what it's like to miscarry. And I just don't believe that legislators should have any part in those conversations. I just don't think it's any of your business at all. I think you should worry about your penises and blue pills and leave our vaginas alone. That's what I think. So just saying. All right, that is all I have. I will see you on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure that you follow. Make sure that you subscribe. I've got a lot of new things coming that I'm really excited about. And because I'm also a certified life coach, and I love the work that I do with people. Activism and online journalism and things like that are not the only things present in my life, and but I think that there's a reason I do both, right? One is to help, like, I don't know, hold people accountable, share information, enlighten and encourage other people. And then the other one is because I really truly do want to make a positive difference in the world. um, I know exactly who I desire to be in this lifetime, and I want to help other people along the way as well. So I think that that's a reason I experienced a lot of the things that I have in life. So that's all I've got for you. Thanks for joining. I will see you all next time. Be amazing. Be light. Be love. Peace.